As a disclaimer, Monster Fuckers Anonymous is indeed about wanting to love and have sex with monsters, but we want to make things extremely clear from the get-go. The monsters we will be selecting will be sentient and able to consent. Not all of the chosen monsters will be sapient, but we will not be endorsing zoophilia or bestiality. Anthropologically, monsters all around the world, and media representations of them, have had many racial and sociological implications. We will be as transparent and ethical as possible, while also sex positive and mostly having fun.
Monsters. Creatures feared all around the world in folklore and myths. Terrifying beings such as the fiendish and frightening fae, demonic devils, sultry sirens, hazardous harpies, and countless chaotic creatures coming from crevices of every continent. As long as stories have existed, there's been one pressing question that has remained unanswered by scholars for generations. One powerful thought that has plagued our minds for millennia. Can we fuck these monsters? That is what we're here to find out today. Welcome to Monster Fuckers Anonymous.
What's up, everybody? My name is Cleric. I am your colorful commentating cuck, and we are here today continuing on our Elemental Monster Balls story themed episode where we talk about certain monsters of different elements. And last time we did air, before air we did fire, before fire we did water, and now we are finishing up this wonderful series with earth elementals. I'm Cleric again. I'm a cuck. Joe, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm just the fucking worst. Are we having fun?
Yeah. I'm having fun.
Okay, I'm gonna welcome one and all back to MFA, as Joe has done the intro this time. Like Joe said, we're finishing up on our series of elementals with earth elementals, which I think is going to be the most interesting one to talk about because we're both very much. I think I prefer earth elementals a little bit. Joe, what is your relationship with earth elementals?
They're not birds. They're not like in the fucking ocean or made of fire. They're made of stuff that we can touch.
Yeah, and like earth creatures have such a variety. There's those who live in the earth, like mole people, or those who like live in the underground, but like aren't underdark creatures. But there's also those who are made of earth, or make like ruins of the earth their home, which has, I think, earth creatures may have the most variety, or I think have the second most variety besides water creatures. So I think it's interesting, and I think it's a good way to round out our series a little bit of elementals. We started with the water, and we end with the earth, you know?
So poetic.
Truly. So, for those of you who don't know, this may be your first episode, or again, as we repeat every time, how this show works is I will be presenting one monster that is of the topic that we're talking about. Joe will present another monster, and then we'll finish up with a third monster that is presented to us by our producers. We have no idea what that monster is. We have no clue what is behind, like what they might be. It might be the worst thing we've ever seen or the most amazing thing. And if that's the case, we'll find out live and you'll get our live reactions. The scale that we use is the Popo scale, which represents parental approval. Fuck no, it doesn't start with parental approval. I never know our own scale.
Our Popo scale is possibility, attractiveness, audacity, parental approval, and then our overall, and then we average out our overall scores to give you our average score of the monsters.
Yes, it's been 8 episodes, and I still don't know our scale by heart.
It's been 8 episodes.
It's been 8 episodes. I refuse to learn it, honestly.
Okay,
I refuse to learn it.
Honestly, good TV.
Yeah, honestly, it's good TV. But with that disaster of an intro out of the way, actually, I think we should just jump right into it. Joe, are you ready?
I think it was a good intro, and I think it was the most perfect intro that we ever had.
I have some notes on it. I do. I don't like how you mentioned how much of a cuck I was.
I don't take notes.
You don't?
We will be starting out with me, best first. Our
really?
first monster to round out our Earth Elemental series I'll be starting with the Gargoyle. Gargoyles come from medieval and Gothic origins, where they were known only to be decorative protruding gutters off of architecture. Often on top of churches, they were said to protect whatever they were guarding with fearsome faces to scare off evil spirits. The animals and spirits used to depict these gargoyles were mostly chimeric and grotesque, as well as initially reminiscent of dragons. More recently in history, were they written to be magically animated or vessels for demon possession. Although used to show what is evil in the world, they are still charged with protective wards against that very evil.
Gargoyles are interesting to me. Because I think I more lean towards, every time I think of gargoyles, I lean more towards the stone, like all stone creature. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, gargoyles have like two different types. There are two different types of gargoyles. Like there is the all stone one, which is like the gargoyles that are mounted on, like you said, like on the cathedral churches, and then those ones come alive and they're just all stone. And then there's the ones that like are like on the stone cathedrals, and then they break out of that stone prison and they're more demonic like, so they're demons with like wings, and then when the sunlight comes up they turn back into stone, which is something that is also I think a trait of gargoyles, that they can only be activated at night and not when the daylight shines on them.
Thank you for telling me about my own monster.
You're welcome. I'm mansplaining to you.
You're mansplaining.
Yeah.
Gargoyles I think have very much had this very mysterious sort of place in my formative monster fucking conceptualizations and years. I guess sort of being familiar with the figure of gargoyles on top of churches, on top of, you know, whatever sort of other Christian architecture that I can blaspheme against. Reading more about them and also being reminded of the amazing Disney show Gargoyles, which I just realized was Disney. Sort of similar to our last mystery monster that we had in the Air episode that our wonderful editor Kess again blessed us with.
Blessed is a strong word.
Cursed us with.
Cursed.
Gargoyles, the animated show, there's just like these hidden sort of memories that I have where I just remember suddenly Goliath and Eliza, Maza, and just how sexually desirable most of those characters were in that show. There's truly not actually that much about gargoyles other than I think the Gargoyles show, which is just evident.
I have a counterpoint to you. There are other gargoyles out there.
Certainly.
Yeah. Do you want to know the one I think of when you mention gargoyles?
No.
Okay, so with my problem with gargoyles, but the one that I think of when you mention gargoyles are the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Those three little stump boys, which were terrible. They're the worst. No, I wouldn't. I would not fuck the Hunchback. First of all, there's nothing to fuck. They don't have a bottom half. They have no hole.
They have mouths.
I'm not raw dogging. I'm not throat fucking, skull fucking the fat one that fucking stuffs hot dogs in his mouth like it's a fucking pastime.
It might be his pastime. What's wrong with that?
You can't see me, but I literally, like, my brain, like, .exe, like, stopped and was just holding my hand, because I talk with my hands, for those of you who don't know. And both my hands just, like, stopped midway and was just, like, holding it there.
You're holding your head in your hands because you're fat phobic.
End the episode. We're like 10 minutes in. We're 10 minutes into the episode of recording. I want to end it right now.
We can't. What about the gargoyles of Hunchback of Notre Dame? How fucking nurturing and caretaking they were.
Okay, they were nurturing and caretaking. Yes, they were nurturing and caretaking to Quasimodo. They were fantastic to that, which has a person to their individual personalities. Because even if we talk about the Gargoyles TV show one, the ones in there were aggressive and angry, but also hot as fuck.
What? They had different personalities and specialties, dude.
I barely remember the Gargoyles TV show.
Okay, then don't just say that they're all aggressive and angry. They're protectors of the city. And they loved it.
Okay, sure. Like, I think, well, if we go back to the Hunchback of Notre Dame ones, they're nurturing and they're kind. I get it. But also, they have no bottom half. It's just their mouth. And that's something you have to consider with gargoyles. is that when they go back to their stone form, which they will never be there in the morning for you, that's something they said they are only going to be there at night. There is no morning dates. There's no
You have a
morning
morning
stuff
job.
like that.
You
Okay,
really have a morning job.
I have a morning job, but I also have to. What constitutes in the morning? Like, say the winter time with the morning, like morning ends, like the sun goes down at like say 4 o'clock, which is nice. Okay, so then they'll be there around you for 4 o'clock. But in the summer, they're not going to be there until like 9 p.m. So then you're dictated by the sun. So then if there's a cloudy day or it's raining or some shit like that, you're not seeing your lover, your stony lover.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Hunchback and Notre Dame ones, they don't have legs. You only have their mouth. Like you brought up, they only have their mouths to use. And also, 3 of them, they're the worst part of that movie. Genuinely.
They're the worst part of it, not the
They are the worst part of that movie.
The insane fucking priest that says that Esmeralda, the Romani lady, is making
You're telling me
him go to
Hellfire's
hell.
not a bop. Are you telling me Hellfire's not an
Hellfire's
iconic
a
song?
bop, but does that make him a good character or not the worst character?
You can
movie?
hate something and love it. Like you can love to hate something. Frollo is probably Frodo. I hate Frodo. Quasimodo the Frodo. No, Frollo is an iconic villain. Like genuinely, like you are supposed to hate him, and he does that role so well. The Gargoyles could not be in that movie, and we could still move on with our lives. You can take out their song, you can take out anything they do. You can move on with that movie without the Gargoyles. The Gargoyles add nothing.
The Gargoyles raised Quasimodo.
Quasimodo could have been raised by a book.
So I'm getting a couple things. Here.
What are you getting from this?
So, one, a child deserves to be locked into a clock tower, and that is the only location that they're ever allowed to have.
The point.
Two, you are not able to love someone that is
the point.
If these gargoyles were in real life, probably would just have some kind of physical mobile disability, which is not a problem with me. Also, I'm nocturnal anyway, so
the gargoyles weren't even in the book. Like in the original source material, he was raised by a priest. Why couldn't he have been? The Gargoyles don't need to be there. Oh, we're getting so off topic. This is so much off topic.
This is us discussing gargoyles. The gargoyles in the animated show
bring those up.
Yeah, so they are extremely hot, like Scottish origin gargoyles that take on certainly more demonic or dragon-like or lizard-like, even kind of like dinosaur-like qualities outside of the sort of stone morning transformation that they have to take on. That being said, though, they are interactable at night. So are we supposed to forget that they have flesh at some point? Or
so they can be night lovers.
In the Notre Dame ones, I think we're still stone, even if they were animated. But in Gargoyles, the animated show, there's lots to certainly bounce back and forth between as far as their forms are. But yeah, they're night lovers, they're protectors, they are born to protect and guard wherever they are.
Which is hot. I'm not denying that that's not hot. Like, genuinely, I'm not. That is hot. And the gargoyles in that show are all attractive. I've pulled up the pictures. I would literally say yes, daddy, to each and every one of them. The problem is, and it's also a problem with gargoyles in general, is when they go back to their stone form in the daytime, they're easily breakable, which means should something happen to them during the daytime, they're broken and they die. Like, they can be broken off and be killed that way. So that's a problem. And then B, this is a second problem. This is the second problem that's mostly for the more stone gargoyles, like, say, not the gargoyles that are like the Gargoyle TV show, but ones that are like more stone creatures that like their stoneness comes alive. Because they're stone, there's no lubrication anywhere involved in this. Like, you're gonna need a lot of lube when fucking a gargoyle.
That's fine.
Okay, this is just like.
Do you know how many sexual accommodations that there are?
Okay. Yes, I do. I'm well aware. I've played Corruption of Champions. It's twice.
You are a dirty cuck boy.
Don't make this a thing. I'm gonna get dirty cuck boy in my DMs now. People are gonna be like, "Yo, what's up, dirty cuck boy?" And I'm like, "God."
If anyone DMs Cleric that, I will bully you. I'll punch your mom or something. Don't do it.
But
if you don't have a mom, whoever you have close enough as a caretaker.
But here's the thing, though. Yes, there's a bunch of accommodations, but it's also something now you have to be aware of. And then, again, if I can make a scenario for you with these creatures.
Certainly. Let's go.
Okay.
First scenario of the episode.
First scenario. You're taking, again, these are someone you meet at night at a bar. Like, it's a creature you meet at night at a bar or some shit like that. And you're like, wow, you hit it off, you have a great time, you have sex, it's wonderful, it's fucking backbreaking. In the morning, you wake up in the morning, they're gone. And all that's left is a note saying, like, call me.
I would expect that. I want them to be gone.
But what if you go to hit their place and they're gone in the morning? And all that's left is you're looking at their apartment and it's just a fucking gargoyle on the side. And you're like, what? That wasn't there in the morning. That's weird. So then if you make it like a regular thing, it's constantly just like, I'm going to protect you, which is fine. Being a fierce protector, love it. I'm with it. But then it's this constant thing of like them disappearing and then like just being a stone. And then if that's you then, if you're in like, again, in a long-term relationship with them, you then have to maintain that stone. Like you have to help them maintain it, to be honest. So then you have to like learn to be a stone mage and take care of it. Because then like if bird shit on it, he's gonna wake up with bird shit and have to take a shower. That's annoying every time.
Relationships, long-term, short-term, are maintenance.
Okay, but that's extra maintenance. That is not just emotional maintenance. Because then it's just like they're constantly like, hey, can you meet my parents? They're going to be here in the afternoon. It's like, nope, sorry. Can they come at night? It's like, no, they're leaving in the morning. It's like, okay, well, can you meet my friends? We all have work in the morning. Like I have work in the morning, and they all have like time during that time, like on the weekend, because like they're all busy on the weekend during like 2:00. Can you do it?
Not necessarily.
What do you mean, not necessarily?
I wasn't really listening to what you were saying.
Of course. You know what? Who was the cleric? Who was the cleric?
Everyone listening to this podcast.
So even if we're talking about the gargoyles from the Gargoyle TV show, which like transform and like have been petrified due to a curse and all of that stuff, we still have to take the factor of other gargoyles, which are some that are just completely made of stone. And that are just stone creatures, and like sometimes those gargoyles, like the ones from Hunchback or Notre, have no legs, and you can only have oral offerings when it comes to that kind of stuff, which isn't bad. Again, it's not a problem. But if I had a choice between the two, I'm gonna fuck the gargoyles ones and not the Hunchback and Notre Dame ones. Like I'm not fucking the
that is literally also what I am saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying that we also have to, like, if we're talking about gargoyles, we gotta take all their media representation into account. And that's
every single one.
Every single one, and that's a form of gargoyle.
Okay. So
Papa scale. Papa scale. All right, possibility. What do you think of possibility?
It's pretty possible. I feel like it's pretty possible, especially if you're in a more religious city, or not even religious, because the fucking gargoyles were in like New York, and
New York is filled with old architecture. Hold on, I'll say New York is filled with old architecture.
Totally. And even in the Hunchback of Notre Dame, they were on a clock tower, not necessarily a church.
Yeah. The clock tower was above a church, wasn't it?
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But regardless, those are like publicly accessible places.
True, and I will say there's a lot of Gothic architecture in ancient that is built into our society. So I think if we're going through every Gothic architecture that has gargoyles is technically a gargoyle that you can be with, I say it's highly possible. At least when it comes to location. When it comes to actual gargoyle like personality, or not even personality, or just like gargoyle physically, I think I have to take a couple points away, because again, you're playing. It's a toss up of which gargoyle you get. If you get the sexy gargoyle, oh baby, it's possible. But if you get like the Hunchback and Notre Dame gargoyle, then we're having a bunch of issues. So I think I'm gonna give a rounded score of like taking a couple points off for that. Of a 7. I think a 7 is fair.
I was gonna say 8. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So we got possibility. What about attractiveness? 9 out of 10. I'll start it off. I'll say a 9 out of 10. Well, actually, 8 out of 10. I take it back. 8 out of 10.
I was surprised, because I was gonna say 8.
I'll give it an 8 for sole reason is that the gargoyles on the Gargoyle show really tip it up there, because those motherfuckers are hot.
They vary in attractiveness certainly as well.
True, but all those motherfuckers are hot. They got abs. They have wings.
But they're not feathery. So does that change anything for you?
No, I mean, a little. Wings in general are just bad, because unless they're retractable wings, they're not the best, because they just really get in the way of everything. the gargoyles themselves in that show are hot. It's that if you go for any of the stone ones, that kind of also weighs it down. You know what? I think I have to change my score. I think I have to give it a lower score. I'll give it a 6. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay, interesting, cool.
It's just 2 points lower. I don't think that's fair. It's like taking points away from the way.
2 points is a lot in a 10 scale. In a 10-point scale?
In a 10-point scale, it's fine. I think that 6 is all, like, if this was just like regular gargoyles, the ones that are stone. What do you mean? I just don't like wings. It's just they're bulky and they get in the way. No one has to hurt me about wings.
I would almost prefer if someone hurt you with wings.
You should hate wings more. You hate birds.
I just told you I'm fine. Maximum Ride and Angel from X-Men, those are cool.
Whatever.
It's the bird face.
I don't need this. You know what? I don't need this. It's my score.
Okay. It's your
score.
It is. I understand. Yes, it is. It is your score. That's true. Audacity.
This is kind of audacious, to be honest.
Is it?
I mean, going out of your way to like fuck a stone creature. One
You're not going out of your way.
One that's a protector of a city, mind you.
I don't think fair. They're kind of like superheroes. It is.
Yeah. And the odds that you run into them is very rare because, again, it's at night and they're off doing shit. So I think the possibility of running into them or purposely running into them is very low. So I do think it's very audacious to do. So I think I'm going to give it a 4.
I don't think it's that audacious whatsoever. But there is the thing to consider certainly is like potentially dangerous lifestyle. I think 7.
7? Okay.
It's definitely not close to 5 for me, but it's definitely not as possible, certainly.
Yeah. All right, parental approval. This is another one. There's no way you get your parents to approve of a gargoyle.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
There's no way. Like physically, there's no way. They can't polymorph. They are only met at night. So if they want to meet during the day,
they were made in the image of devils and dragons.
There's no way our Christian immigrant parents would approve of this. So
yeah, I think I have to give it a 1 as well.
Yeah, I don't want rocks in my thussy, you know?
Just you.
Just me. All right, so we're going to quickly pause for math to get our overall score. So our overall scores for the gargoyles are going to be a 5.3. I got a 4.5, which I know is pretty decent for me. It's not the worst monster I have. And Joe, what'd you get?
I got a 6.
A little 6, a little even 6. So I don't think gargoyles, like, generally, again, I don't think gargoyles are bad. I just think you have to look at them completely in both forms, which is their hot, sexy form, and then their Hunchback of Notre Dame form. I will let it be known. I'll let it be known to everyone who's listening, and to everyone who will listen to these episodes in the future. I'm a fucking hypocrite. I'm not denying this fact at all. I know I'm a hypocrite. I'm not going to change my... I'm consistent with my hypocrisy. I want to say that. I know my hypocrisy. I know about it. But if I was just... Let me say this. If I wasn't a hypocrite, this podcast would get a whole lot more boring.
We can't just be like horny in solidarity. We can't just be like comrades in like love.
No.
Or... Okay.
Joe, I physically hate you.
Physically? What does that mean?
Now that we're done with the gargantuan gargoyles, it's time to move on to our second monster, which is my pick, which I think is an interesting pick. I don't think Joe's going to be I don't think when we're talking about it, Joe's going to be a huge fan of this one. But I've chosen the mighty Sphinx. Sphinx bear the head of a humanoid, the body of a regal lion, and wings that adorn their backs. Sphinx are virtual libraries of knowledge and lore. They ask riddles and present puzzles to test the wit of adventurers that come to learn their secrets. Some are willing to bargain with such supplicants for treasures or services. Sphinxes are weird. So I'll say this. There's also 2 types of sphinxes. I'm going to let that be known. Let me do a little bit of the research I did. There are 2 types of sphinxes. There are a gynosphinx and an androsphinx. So both of them are like regal. One is more like kingly. One is more feminine. Both of them still retain the like I do riddles and puzzles and shit. But one, I think the Andro one is more like calm and like regal, and like if you look into a Sphinx into the eyes, apparently you can get banished into another realm or into another set of like another set of a dimension or even another plane of existence. And with the Androsphere, the one that is more the male ones, they are super aggressive. Apparently, not super aggressive. They can be super aggressive, but only if you upset them.
You mean the Gyno ones?
Yeah, the Gyno ones. Sorry, I apologize. The Gyno ones. Those are aggressive, like the guy ones. But both of them still retain their love for giving riddles and for giving puzzles to adventurers. And Sphinx has been around in like almost everything single mythology. Like they're from Egyptian to Greek to I think even they're like Romans in there, and they've like been maintained for generations of like these riddle and puzzle masters in like ancient ruins, because that's where you find Sphinxes. They're not really spread around; they're always in ancient ruins.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like for location, you have to be like a fucking archaeologist to find them bitches, you know?
Okay, so not only are these Sphinxes completely made of stone, they are bigger than gargoyles, and they are also keepers of grand amounts of information, which was your problem with the last mystery monster from the Air episode. So,
your point?
Less so of a point and more so of a judgment of your character.
Well, I think I've literally just said it 2 minutes ago. I'm a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, I just wanted to draw that out. I just wanted to like really,
Listen, hypocrisy is hot.
I disagree.
I think you can find one thing attractive in one monster and then find it distasteful in another. I think that's totally possible. There can be something that attracts you to a partner in the future that you fucking love, but then when found in another person, you can absolutely despise. Say ambition. In one partner, you can find ambition sexy, and then another, their definition of ambition.
Ambition is a weird one. That is a weird one to get into.
Well, I'm just using that as an example. Okay, let's use the example of the mystery monster. Mystery monster from last episode was hoarding knowledge. And this one, the Sphinx loves to impart knowledge through riddles and stuff, but will still give you actually wants to do service to you and help you out with it.
Both of them equally protect and maintain information away from people.
One is willing to give that information, and the other hoards it. I think that's the
other does not necessarily hoard it. We talked about how they wanted to protect it.
I think. Okay, here's how I picture the Sphinx, mind you. I think the Sphinx is your local librarian. Like you meet her, she like loves to like you meet her, you kind of hit it off. Like she's always like with a book, reading some big some book you may not understand.
She's 100 feet tall, length and widthwise.
Yeah, and that's hot. She's like what's wrong with tall people? You know, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with the 20-foot Baphomet? What's wrong with the 20-foot tall owl creature?
I don't need to explain my hypocrisy to you.
Okay, keep going, librarian.
is a librarian is a like you go there like you're having knowledge, like she like plays like she playfully gives you riddles and stuff like that to like hey like here's a riddle to this blah blah blah, like if you want to figure out my phone number, here's a hectograph kind of shit, and you're like okay, and like you figure out the code, and you do like escape rooms together and like go on puzzles and like puzzle dates and shit like that. It's cute and adorable, you know?
Okay.
But I will say there's a downside. I'm not going to be without a downside. Puzzles can get annoying. And if everything's a riddle, her like if you're talking to her like, hey, what do you want to get for dinner? Like, follow me these recipes 3 and you will discover what I want to eat. It's like, okay, babe, it is 10 o'clock at night and Sonic is closing. What do you want?
Sonic? You're taking your Sphinx lover to Sonic?
I don't know. Sonic is always open.
Okay, yeah.
Like, there's never a Sonic that closes.
I want to ask you something.
Oh, okay. I mean, sure.
Are you even good at puzzles?
That's hurtful. That feels hurtful. That feels targeted a little bit.
Answer the question.
I'm decent at puzzles.
I'm horrible at puzzles.
I can do a puzzle or two. Like, I can't do...
Like riddles and, like, logic puzzles?
riddles and logic puzzles is difficult, but like if you're doing like the puzzle pieces or like moving things around or like escape rooms, I'm good at. But like like actual riddles, if they're like super complex, they always stump me no matter what. Like if they're like medium hard, they stump me. So I understand like if I was with like a Sphinx lover and she was like giving me riddles constantly to figure out what mood she's in. Like if I ask her like, hey, how you're feeling, and you give me a fucking riddle, I'm just gonna say, all right, I think you're good, and move on with my life. Which
I
will
think
not
we're both
induce
too
it.
stupid. We're both too stupid for this. For the Sphinx, I think.
Are we, Joe? Are we dumb?
We're fucking idiots. We're dumb as fuck.
Yo, we're dumb as fuck. Imagine if editors, you can put a clapping sound where we like clap hands. Like if you guys, I want everyone to picture that meme where like there's two strong arms just like link, and they're just like, we're idiots, kind of thing. That's the we're gonna do that.
What are the? Tell me about. So this person's, they're made out of stone. What are the sexually redeeming qualities of this person to you?
Stone titties.
And gargoyles can't also have that.
Gargoyles had stone titties too. I mean, like they were hot, so I didn't tell them no.
Okay.
Sphinx is just like they have a human face, so it's just like okay, so you can do that, blah blah, make out, and also they aren't completely made out of stone. I want to say that I will take this back. They aren't made out of stone. Some are made out of stone. There are some that are physically carved out of stone, but they can also turn, like gargoyles, they can turn from that stone form to a more not humanoid, a more flesh body.
Organic.
Which means organic body. Which they have the head of a female, body of a lion, and like the wings on the back. So it's basically like the same way getting with a centaur, basically, which is not a problem.
Do you like centaurs?
I'm not against centaurs.
Cool.
What are you cool? Why that sounds so. Every time you ask me a question,
I'm gonna hook you up with a centaur after this.
What the fuck does that mean?
Okay. I don't know how I feel about sphinxes. I'm definitely like they are attractive. They're cool. I'm willing to die and get killed for a monster lover, but if I have to do a puzzle, I'm probably not gonna do it. I'm probably just gonna.
Yeah, I think. Okay, I honestly, I'm against like I don't mind doing arbitrary challenges to get to a lover. Like I think there's like I can do. Like there, you should be able to go through hoops to get to somebody. I don't think like because all relationships aren't built like easy 1, 2, 3 done, or like even one night stands are built on 1, 2, 3. Like, hey, what's up? You wanna fuck kind of shit. Like that's sometimes that happens.
You should or shouldn't go through hoops.
I think you can. I say you should. I think you can go through hoops, generally. But if there's constant hoops, that's when there's an issue. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem with Sphinx is, which again, having an intellectual and having like that close intellectual conversations, which are more like kind of what it leans towards, and Sphinxes are inherently good, like they're inherently good creatures. But if those Sphinxes are constantly giving you hoops to jump through in order to just be with them, even in a one night stand situation, then it's annoying, and that can become a problem. Even if one night stand you have just to solve like one riddle, that's fine. Do it, hit them on the back, and leave. But as I always bring up, is in a relationship is like if there's constant hoops to jump through with with little to no return, or not even little to no return, if there's like frustration that comes from like just asking a question and getting a riddle back, then it's not conducive of like a long-term thing. That was a whole monologue for no fucking reason.
Yeah, you normally monologue, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. We both chose like stone guardians for this. Do you
think it's because we have the innate desire to be protected?
No.
No, for the Papa scale.
Possibility. How possible is it?
It's a 4.
It's a 4?
Okay, hear me out. Here's me out for the reason being.
It's not so much lower.
It's not so much lower because one is that like there is a like you have to go. They're mostly located in ancient ruins, that or they're guarding like structures of great power, or like there's like in the Men in Black, or not even Men in Black. There's like Night at the Museum, like there's sphinxes in front of a library, so you can like meet them in places of like knowledge and power. So it's not impossible, like to go to a ruin or to go to like a public library and have them come alive and meet them. It's not impossible. It's the difficulty.
Is a Sphinx going to be in a public library?
Yes, you could like if we're doing the same argument with gargoyles that there's gothic furniture or gothic architecture all around, then there is architecture with sphinxes that are less common, less common.
Move sphinxes.
They come alive. Same with the gargoyles; they come alive. I'm using the same logic we use for the other stone creature.
No, but okay.
What do you mean no? What do you mean no?
What is your possibility score?
I'm giving it a 4 or 5 because what lowers the possibility is solving the fucking riddle. Because you gotta solve a riddle to be with them, or to at least like get their interest, or like start talking to them with services and shit. You gotta solve a riddle or like do a puzzle. What do you mean no? What do you mean no?
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
No. First of all, I don't think we've ever done. I think this is the first 0.5 we've ever done.
That's not true.
We've done a 0.5 before?
You gave Gratz a 8.5 apparently.
Oh. Odd. Okay. But what that 2.5, that's some bullshit. That's some actual bullshit.
I could say the same about your scores in general in this on this podcast. So
But no, why a 2.5?
I don't think they are as accessible as a 4 out of 10. First of all, there is the puzzle thing. There was also the size thing.
There are ones that are not hundreds of. They're not ones that are hundred. Like there's Sphinx in fucking like the Sphinx in Egypt. Yeah, it's hundreds of feet tall. But there are ones that are just that are the shape of a lion, like an actual lion. Certainly. With a human face and like that, and the wings on the back.
Okay, it bumps up to a 3.
A 3?
Yeah.
Being more size. Oh my god. Whatever. Okay. You know what?
Attractiveness.
6.
What? I hate you.
What do you mean?
So much.
What do you mean?
Why isn't this monster hotter to you?
Well, I think it's just like I attribute personality and also into attractiveness is like I think the pursuit of knowledge is hot. It's the constant riddles that bother me, and like the humanoid fit. You know what? You're right. I should raise it up. I think it's an 8. I'll give it an 8.
I'm giving it an 8 as well. Honestly, again, it's not a problem to me if a Lady Sphinx just fucking kills me because I get a puzzle wrong. That is more of the sexual appeal to her. That I think that might be less of the Egyptian telling and more of the Greek telling, which I don't actually want to contribute to.
In D&D, it's most like if you're taking the D&D lore from it, is that a Sphinx is mostly are inherently good. So they'll give you a puzzle and be like, listen, if you want to take us however long you need to solve it, I'm in no rush. I'm just here to see you solve it. And once you do, if you need knowledge from me, we can talk about how you pay for that knowledge. But I'm not going to talk to you until you solve it. But take your time because I do want you to do it. And mostly the puzzles are like how to benefit you in the long run and like make you a better person or a better adventurer. It's just like you confront your like greatest demons and you beat it and you're like, wow, look at you. You did it. You accomplished this. Now, do you want your dick sucked?
Honestly, the hottest you've ever sounded is you pretending to be a Lady Sphinx walking me through a puzzle.
That hurts. I think.
Anyway.
It's fucking audacity.
I think my attractiveness is an 8 anyway. Audacity.
Yeah. It's pretty audacious.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty audacious. I think like you have to be a good puzzle master in order to keep like the interest of them. I'll give it. Remind me, is audacity like the higher the score or the lower the score?
The higher the score, the least audacious.
Gotcha. I'm gonna give it a 3. Again, everyone, I don't know our own scale. New merch. Don't know the scale. Coming soon.
No. I'm stuck from 3 to 5 because yes, the puzzle part is the audacious part, but if I'm not going to die if I get the puzzle wrong.
True.
Most of the points then is the travel.
Yeah, it's the travel to an ancient ruin or like finding a stone or finding a Sphinx in your like a Sphinx statue in your city, which isn't hard. They're very much common in like libraries or places of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they're keepers of knowledge. So it's not, as long as you find a place with knowledge there, you can find a Sphinx. So I don't think it's super, like, if we're going with, like, in like libraries or universities, that's not that hard to find. But if we're going with their ancient ruins, then very difficult. I'm gonna change mine to a 5 actually. I think I'm gonna change mine to a 5.
Yeah, mine is also a 5.
I'll keep it middle of the road. Parental approval. 1.
1.
Well, this is a giant fucking line. I don't think
you can't explain this
you
at
can't.
all. I think
there's no way you can explain this. There's absolutely no way. It's a giant fucking lion with a human face and a pussy. How the fuck do you explain that?
And a pussy.
And she can like explain. It's like Cleric, what the fuck? I talked to my parents like, Cleric, what the fuck is this? And she's like, I have a riddle for thee. I'm sucking your son's dick. You see, like, all right, we don't need a limerick right now. That's it. It's just a 1. So we're gonna do the math real quick for the mighty Sphinx. Give us a second. The overall score we got for the Sphinx is a 4.4. I got a 4.5, which is actually the same score I got for Gargoyles. And then, Joe, what did you get?
I got a 4.3, which is 2.3 below Gargoyles.
And which is actually below my score, which is surprising a little bit, honestly. But hey, that's how it'd be sometimes. And like I said, I don't have a problem with Sphinxes. I do think they're attractive, but I just think the riddle part kind of weighs it down. And plus, like, a lot of the time, it's the parental approval that weighs down these scores, genuinely.
Probably the more, I guess, the most objective side of the scoring.
Yeah, because that takes into, like, we can be a subjective in the other 3 scores, like, it's our own personal preference, but objectively, there's no way, there's sometimes creatures can get our parents' approval. Mm-hmm. Listen, our immigrant parents, very strict. They raised us, didn't they? And look at us now. We talk about fucking monsters on the internet. Anyway, that's all we have for the sophisticated Sphinx. It's time to move on to our 3rd and final monster.
This is Kess's choice.
Again, this is our producer's monster. We are seeing this for the first time. We have no idea what this is. We're going to rank it right here and now and talk about it right here and now. Joe, are you ready to open the file?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see. It's loading up for me. What? What is this? You're no.
Interesting. Who we are currently looking at is a cursed spirit named Hanami from Jujutsu Kaisen. So, Cleric, if you are too emotionally bereft at the moment, I can do the description.
Okay, now I got it. You did the last one. I gotta do this one. All right. Haname is a large tan cursed spirit with black lines running across her entire body, a helmet-like head that exposes her teeth, branches for eyes, and 2 black lines that zigzagged on her face. The cloth that covers her left hides a unique limb with an inverted pattern and the color to the rest of her body, and a budding rose growing from her shoulder. She is unique among the cursed spirits as, despite being the manifestation of humanity's fear towards the earth, she holds a deep desire to protect all of nature, but still believes killing all humans to be the best way to achieve this.
I'm having the same moment of the Kieran right now.
Yeah, I of all the creatures, I did not expect this one. I didn't expect this. Okay. I'm taken aback, but I think we can run it back. So, for those of you who haven't watched Jujutsu Kaisen, to give more of a background besides the little description we give, this is going to be a spoiler probably for the series. So if you want to watch Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit, maybe skip this part. But Jujutsu Kaisen has cursed spirits, and cursed spirits are the embodiment of fears that humanity has. And there's some ancient ones that are even older, like some of the oldest spirits of mankind's like greatest fears, like of fire, of water, of humanity itself. And Haname is, like you said, the fear of the earth. Hanami is a woman. She is the embodiment of nature. And at first, when the characters meet Hanami, because she invades and starts beating the ever-loving shit out of everybody, like she rocks almost everybody. Haname doesn't talk in English, or doesn't talk in a language English, I say because we were watching the dub last night. Doesn't talk in a comprehensible language. Haname is technically the oldest cursed spirit, because humanity has always feared nature. Humanity's oldest fear has been nature. So Hanami is the oldest, and was speaking a language so guttural that no one understood. She eventually started speaking to people, but she spoke in their minds. Like, she didn't physically say anything.
Yeah,
she spoke directly.
primordial.
Yes, she's basically a primordial entity. Like, truly. And she was beating bitches' asses. Like, straight up. She is tough. She is strong. She can drain the life out of the place around her to send like a giant beam that destroys destroys everything around her. She is literally poison ivy, but if poison ivy tried to run a fade every time you said some shit, like physically run up to you and beat the bricks off you, kind of shit.
She's hot.
She's hot. I'm not even gonna begin to argue that. Physically, she's hot. I think even if I try to attribute more of like a regular personality to her, like she is like an eco-terrorist.
Love that. We love an eco-terrorist girl boss.
Yeah, but eco-terrorist that would murder any, like, she works mainly by herself and then fucking murders anybody who doesn't. Like, she sees somebody accidentally litter on the street, like a receipt falls out of somebody's pocket and they go to pick it up because like, oh
Pulls
no,
out a gun.
Yeah,
and just shoots them.
No, she doesn't pull out a gun. She walks up to them, cold clocks them in the face, and their head just like blows up.
Yeah.
That's Hanami, and I respect it. I respect it so much.
It becomes more glaringly obvious that Jujutsu Kaisen's creator has never met anyone that was maybe not Japanese. Because first of all, Mahito's whole thing, and I haven't watched that much of JJK, but Hanami's and also Poison Ivy's sort of thing is sort of attributing all of humanity to be the reason of nature's downfall, when like Native American, Indigenous people, Aboriginal people are absolutely not a part of that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna choose that Hanami is just like everyone dies besides that population of people.
Yeah, I think in the ideal world that's how it is, but also because we can jump into the pot, because there's really not much we can say, because unlike other monsters, there's not a lot of lore. Like, Hanami is not like, even in the manga, because I won't spoil anything for anybody. Even in the manga, Hanami doesn't have a lot to her. That even like her one thing in the arc that she's in is like her kind of major moment, to be honest. But that's all I'll say. Like, I don't want to spoil much, but like she does come back around. She has some other cool shit that happens, but other than that, like, that's all we really get of Haname. That's how we get her personality, her lore, is all through the one kind of major arc we see in the anime.
Do you know what Hanami means?
No, I don't actually.
It is actual Japanese flower viewing festival for different seasons.
Wow. That's interesting. I think it's also interesting, like, to get a little bit into her abilities, because that does fit with her. She is able to spawn, like, she controls nature. Like, she spawns flowers, vines. She can control them so freely. She can summon roots as if there's like nothing. She can drain people's energy through her roots. And like her flowers can also produce like calming effects and like other things of that sort. So she, like, if you were the one human she ever wanted to be with, she would be so nurturing and loving to you. Like, she'd be like, yeah, I absolutely adore you. With like, together I will, like, together you will be the only human left in the world that's destroyed. Kind of shit. Like, kind of vibe.
She'd put you in this flower field, dude.
She would preserve you. I think she'd be one of the ones that like, you can never leave me. I'm preserving you perfectly. And like, that could also present its own issues of like yandere shit, you know?
You're gonna be with me forever.
Yeah, like, we'll be together until the earth decays, like, kind of shit. So I think we should jump into the Papa skill because again, there's not much to Haname, but there's also, she's a very interesting character. I think she's hot. Like
She's
her voice in both the anime and like the subbed and dubbed, like just like hits the vocal. Like you know how people like get attracted to voices and like tickles the back of your like your neck and shit like that, and like you could hear someone's voice, you're like, like Hanami's voice in both the sub and dub does that for me.
The only reason people like Corpse Husband.
Yeah, I think an underrated kink is voice kink. To be honest,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's very. I think if someone has like a voice that you like drawn to and like can like make your body shiver, I think it's an underrated. Like you can always like that's why I like voice messages on Hinge so you can hear someone's voice, and you can see if like they have like a good voice that you can like listen to like for long periods of time. Because someone can be hot and then just have like the voice that like
shitty voice.
Yeah, that voice that like drills into your ears. We're getting off topic. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Possibility. Ooh.
One. Absolute one. There's no way. We had to make up a world where you are the only one she truly loves. Like the only human. And even then, she's a cursed spirit, so many regular humans can't see her. You have to be a jujitsu sorcerer. And then B, she wants to kill all humanity. Like that is her end goal. She sees that humanity should like she loves the earth and she loves the earth so much, but like you're not a part of that. Humanity there's no way. There's literally just no physical way you can be with her.
We can go further.
What do you mean?
I think I don't think possibility will ever be a 1 for me necessarily. That might be a lie. I might have given someone a 1 before.
I think you have, yeah.
I don't know. I don't really give 1s is my thing.
Yeah.
Sex can be all sorts of things. You don't even have to touch each other and for it to be sex.
That is true.
And if there is love, if there is sex or communication of any sort of kind, I do believe that it is possible. That being said, she's a curse. She's an immortal grand
primordial
spirit,
being. Yeah.
Primordial being. So as far as like, there's sentience there, but as far as like an understanding of my wants, like I won't even throw out my needs, honestly. There is certainly more I would have to prove to her, but I'm gonna give her 2 at the very least.
Okay, that's fair. I understand not wanting to give any creature like a 1 on possibility. Like I get that. But I'm just this monster is so like her entire ideal and being is like the destruction of mankind, of humankind, genuinely. And I think you can physically be with her if, like, again, in the perfect scenario that you are the one human that will ever love her, kind of shit. So I get it too. I'm not actually gonna be as upset with it too, like as I usually am. I think that's a very fair answer.
Thank you.
Attractiveness. This is gonna be a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. It's a 10 out of 10. I think she's hot. She's got abs on abs. She can fucking rock me. I don't give a shit. I can imagine her, like, I open my door, I hear her knock on the door, I open it, she's right there, she just starts choking me, and she's like, you're mine now, and I'm like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Put me in your little bag. Take me where you need.
Purse dog.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Listen, if anyone, both in real life and in Monster World, were to knock on my door, pick me up, and say, you're my little bitch boy, again, I just have to go with it. As long as you're 6 foot tall and have abs and 6 foot tall abs and or titties, we're good.
How are you in pet play?
Iffy. It's not like, because it can get into weird territory, genuinely. Like, but I think
it can. Yes,
I think it's just like, because I don't know if you've seen those TikTok videos. Or I'm sorry, I apologize for the tangent that's about to happen. You know those TikTok videos? I think there's this girl who is like, she's like pretends to be a dog, and they have like the guy is an owner. And like he literally walks her in public places.
Yeah, I've certainly.
That's too far for me, genuinely.
That's too much. Yeah.
Whatever you do in the privacy of your home, I'm okay with. Be as kinky as you want. But I think when you involve other unwilling participants, that's when it borders on something.
It's too much. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a MFA PSA, I guess.
Everyone in public is not able to consent if you put your kink in public.
Yeah. There are public spaces that you can go to do that. I think you can find public spaces or public areas or like a group of people who would be willing to protect you and let you do that in public. But if you go to like a public area where there's like a whole bunch of people who can't like consent or you haven't asked, that's where it gets iffy.
Yeah. Audacity.
Audacity. This is the most audacious one. Genuinely.
This is so audacious.
I think this is a 1. This is a 1 for audacity, genuinely. No?
I don't want to give her a 1 for some reason.
It's okay. It's fair. I won't knock you for it if you don't want to give her a 1.
I want to give her 2.
That's fine. In my mind, there is no scenario unless it's like an alternate universe thing that you can be with her. Like genuinely. Okay. I just there's no other way around it. At least in the original Jujutsu Kaisen world. Like using that as the base, I don't think there's a way that can happen.
Totally.
Parental approval. If I could give this a 0, I would. But we don't do zeros in this show. But yes, this is also going to be a 1. I feel like she would murder, again, we talk about it, murder my parents in front of me and just say, you're the only human, your parents don't count. Which, maybe that bumps it up to a 2. Please no one said this podcast to my parents ever. Joe, anything with you?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be a 1. I don't know if she transforms or is able to do any of that. She's huge. She has no face. Well, her eyeballs are branches, and she has big teeth.
She's more like an ancient, like a biblical accurate angel and anything.
Yeah.
But again, those.
Well, if I can pass her off as a biblical angel, that's like a different story. But I don't think you can. I don't do that.
No. All right, everybody, we're gonna do some quick math, and we'll be right back. All right, so for Hanami, we have an overall score of a 3.6. I got a 3.3, and Joe, you got a
3.8.
Yeah, Hanami is hot, like genuinely is hot, but is just so difficult to be with. Beautiful, absolute rockin', like kind of beat. But
what?
She is just so hard to be with personality, like just with background lore. There's just no way it can happen. Well, it's too bad that the horticultural Hanabi has the rank so low for us. But Joe, I think it's time to wrap up by doing a quick summary of our scores. You ready? All right. In third place, as we've just stated, I think 2 times in a row, this has been that our producer monster has ranked as our lowest with a 3.6 for Haname. Like we said, physically hot as fuck, but just everything else weighs it so far down of like impossibility. In second place, we have with a 4.4 are the sophisticated Sphinx, which again, it's the puzzle thing that really weighs it down, I think, a lot. It's puzzles. We're not smart on this show.
We're not fucking smart.
We're not fucking smart. And finally, in first place, with a 5.3, are the gorgeous Gargoyles. How do you feel about that, Joe?
Good.
You proud of it?
Yeah. And one day we'll sort of acknowledge and actually realize that most of my monsters get higher scores than yours.
No, we don't gotta talk about that. So, for some closing thoughts, I want to say, well, first, Joe, do you have any closing thoughts for this episode?
Between a rock and a hard place, more like between a cock and a hard place.
So, for some closing thoughts, I want to say, first of all, this series, or this little 4-part series of elements, has been a lot of fun, I think, for both me and Joe. We've had a lot of fun talking about them, things that we do like, things that we don't like, especially since we're not a fan of some of these creatures, but it's always fun to talk about things even if you don't like them. I want to thank everybody for listening. We really like to know if you guys are enjoying the show. We really appreciate all the support you've been showing. Like, the amount of support we've gotten is incredible. I think even more than we've even realized. So we want to thank you for that. And please let us know what you guys think on Twitter at Monster Lover Pod. We'd really appreciate any feedback or any ideas or any of that sort. If you find it interesting, if you didn't like an episode, if you did like an episode, please feel free to let us know. And finally, a little bit of another closing thought is we actually are starting up a Ko-fi. I don't know if it'll be launched by the time this podcast comes out, but our Ko-fi is going to be to help support us so we can pay our editors, so we can get new sprites on TikTok and Twitter. And even if you don't support us, like, we have rewards on there. That is, like, we'll do streams. We'll do a drunk episode, which I think me and Joe are both excited to do.
I might just do it next episode.
Honestly, we might just do it.
Only me is drunk.
Only me is. Oh no, we'll both be drunk, and we have to invite somebody else to be our caretaker. Okay. We want to get new sprites, new animations, and we might, like I said, live episodes or different streams. So if you want to support us, hopefully the Ko-fi will be live. Joe, what's the ad for the Ko-fi?
Monster Lover Pod.
Yeah. So if you want to check there, if it's up at the time, we'll probably send a tweet and a TikTok about it. It may be up way before this episode even talks about it. But I want to thank you all for your support. Joe, you want to take us out of here?
Rockin' a hard place. We're like, rockin' a hard place.
Rockin' a hard place.
Bye.